in the cross section area at the location of the holes or at the location of the bolts. Okay, and that's why we need to do the calculation of gross and net cross section area for the sections for bolted connections. But in welding, there is no such thing. Okay, there is no loss in cross section area as there are no holes required in welded connection, and that's why in welded connections the net and gross areas of the cross section remains equal. Okay, so from the main equations that we have been using, equation 3.1 and 3.2, the area remains same for both the cases. Okay, so let's calculate the tension capacity of the member required in terms of the area. So this is the first equation 3.1, which uses phi times area times F yield. So phi is the factor of safety, as you can recall, it's 0.9, and then 300 MPa is the yield stress, and then in terms of the area, this comes out to be 270 A. Okay, so, and in the next formula 3.2, phi times 0.85 times A times Fu. Here everything remains the same, only Fu is the ultimate strength which we are going to use, and this gives me a value of 344 A. So why we are using these two? Because we need to equate the factored load to the capacity, and these two formulas basically give me the capacity of the cross section. Okay, and here as the area is unknown, so for an initial estimate of how we should choose the area of the cross section from the handbook, we calculate the capacity in terms of area, keeping area as unknown. Okay, and then we compare that capacity in terms of this area with the factored force which is going to act, and by that way we can get an estimate value of what should be the area if the capacity is equal to the factored force which is going to act on the cross section. Okay, and then what we will do, when we get the required area or an estimate of the required area, we will choose the section such a way that the area is more than that from the handbook, and in that way then if we plug back the area values into the formulas, our capacities will be more than what is the factored force. Okay, so this is the philosophy in which how we proceed while doing steel design. Okay, we know what is the load which is going to act on the structure, and we have to make an estimate of, or make an assumption about the section. Okay, so what we do, we have the formulas for the capacities in tension. We calculate the capacities in terms of an unknown area A. Okay, and then we compare or we equate the capacity to the factored load, and we make an estimate of the area. Then we go to the steel handbook and we choose a section which has an area more than that which is required, and thus if we plug them back the area into the original capacity equations, we will get a capacity which is obviously going to be more, okay, than the required or the load of acting on the structure. And then we, after choosing that section, we go through the different checks that there are required to be made. This is the philosophy how we go about doing steel design. So let's see what we get here. So the two areas which we get here from equation 3.1 and 3.2 in terms of the areas, okay, are 270A and 344A. Okay, so we take the lower one because if the lower capacity is greater than the factored load, then obviously the higher capacity will be greater than the factored load. So we take the lower value of the two and we equate it to the factored load acting on the section, 630 kilonewtons. As you see from the problem statement, the load acting on the structure was 630 kilonewtons. Okay, and from that we make an estimate of the required area, which comes out to be 2333 millimeter square. Okay, and I will mention again, repeat the thing that in this particular problem we are doing welded connections. Okay, that's why in both the formulas 3.1 and 3.2 the net and gross cross section areas will be same, as there is no loss in cross sectional area due to welding. Okay, in as opposite to bolted connections where there is loss in cross sectional areas due to welding. So we have calculated estimate of the required area for the cross section 2333 millimeter square. Now the problem type is such that we can use welded a pair of angle sections on each side of the WT, and so depending on the area we choose two 76 by 64 of thickness 9.5 angle sections. Okay, back to back sections. Okay, so I had discussed with you what is back to back section. Okay, so if the two angles are facing back to back and connected by welding at the center, they are called back to back angles. So the area, combined area of the two angles which is given here is 2480 millimeter square. Okay, and the R minimum, that is the minimum radius of gyration of the section, is 13.3 for one angle. Okay, now here we need to see one thing, that in order to determine if shear lag reduction applies, it is necessary to know that the configuration of the weld. Now here we are assuming that the 76 mm, that is the long leg, there are two legs of the section 76 mm and 64 mm. Okay, so we are here assuming that the 76 millimeter leg will be welded to the stem of the WT by a 120 millimeter long weld and 250 mm long weld along the heel of the 76 millimeter. Okay, so what is the toe and the heel? So if we have a section like this, one part is the toe of the section and other part is the heel of the section. It is the normal nomenclature what we use for our feet. So one side is the toe and the other side is the heel. So on one side we are assuming we have a 120 millimeter length of weld, and on the other hand side we are assuming we require a 250 millimeter length of weld. Okay, so here it has been shown like this. Okay, this side you can see the dark marking, it is the 240 millimeter length of weld, and on this side which is the another dark marking, it is the 120 millimeter length of weld, and that particular thing has been shown in the cross section side like this. So on the left hand side we have the 240 millimeter length of weld that has been assumed till now. We need to check whether that length is correct or not and will be sufficient or not to carry the force. And on the right hand side here, it is the 120 millimeter length of weld that has been assumed at the starting of the problem. Okay, now first we are going to consider the long leg side, and the average weld length is the obviously the half of the two length of welds on both sides. So on one side it was assumed to be 120 and on the other side it was assumed to be 250 mm. So this comes out to be 185 mm. Okay, now there is a clause given in equation 3.8b in the code which states that if the length of the weld average length of weld is more than twice the length of the side, that is 76 mm. So if you twice it up 76, it gives me 152. Okay, and the average length of the weld is 185 mm. So that this is referred from equation 3.8b of the code. Okay, so and in that situation it is not necessary to make a reduction for the shear lag. Okay, as we are checking that whether shear lag reduction is necessary or not, so we use equation 3.8b. Okay, and what we have got, that it is not required. Thus the connected length will have an area of AN2, that is 1 times 76 minus 9.5. So what is this 76 minus 9.5? So as we are going to do the welding, on the outside there will be a reduction in the area, and that reduction in the area will be the thickness of the weld, and that is no, that reduction will be basically the thickness of the section. Okay, and that is 9.5. So the 76 minus 9.5 multiplied by 9.5. This is how we get the area AN2, and that is given by 632 millimeter square. Okay, so this is the area of one leg, and for the outstanding leg, that is the leg which has a length of 64 mm. Let's see how to calculate the eccentricity of the element. Okay, so the eccentricity will be calculated by half of the length of the leg. Okay, so that is half of 64 mm equals to 32 mm, and on that side we have assumed the length of weld to be 250 mm. Okay, so now we are going to use equation 3.8 and to calculate the effective area of this leg. So the effective area of the leg on this side is going to be given by this formula, that is 1 minus 32, which we have calculated here, divided by 250. Okay, and what is 250? 250 is the length of the welding which we have assumed on that side, multiplied by 64. Okay, and on this 64 is the length of the leg multiplied by the thickness. So you see here there is no reduction in length, because in this formula for the shorter leg. Okay, and this comes out to be 530 millimeters square. And finally, to calculate the total area of welding, it is we need to add these two up. Okay, and that gives me the total area of welding to be 632 plus 530 millimeter square, that is 1162 millimeter square. So we are going to go back to the equations 3.1 and 3.2 to calculate the areas. So in first formula, obviously we are going to calculate the area, which is the area of the cross section. So the area of the combined cross section for two sections was given as 2480, and that gives me a capacity of 670 kilonewton. While for the other case, we are going to use the area of the welding, which is effective. Okay, and that is 2 times 1162, because this calculated area 1162 was for one particular leg. So for two legs, basically we need to multiply by 2 and then multiply by the factored, then multiply by the ultimate strength. So this gives me a value of 800 kilonewton. Okay, so the shorter of the two, so the less value of the two is 670 kilonewton, and even then the 670 kilonewton is greater than the factor load acting on the structure, which is 630 kilonewton. Okay, now finally we need to check for the radius, the L by R ratio. Okay, the L by R ratio, as I mentioned, needs to be calculated the maximum one. A particular steel section has radius of gyration about all the axes. Okay, about the horizontal axis and also the vertical axis, and also about inclined axis. Okay, but we choose the R which gives me a minimum value. Okay, why? So that we get a maximum L by R ratio, because the slenderness ratio, that is the maximum slenderness ratio, gives me the worst value of the strength. Okay, in steel sections, the more the section becomes slender, there are more chances of buckling, local buckling failures. Okay, so that is the reason why we calculate always the maximum buckling. Uh, that is why we always go on calculating the maximum slenderness ratio, maximum L by R ratio, and for that reason, we choose the minimum. For that reason, we choose the minimum R, that is the minimum radius of gyration. And the R minimum in this case we had seen was 13.3 mm. Okay, so the length is 4 meter and divided by 13.3 mm. This gives me a L by R ratio of 301. And the limit, as we know, is already we have seen the limit is 300, so that is okay. So the selection of 270 cross 64 cross 9.5 angles, long legs back to back, is okay in this case. Okay, so we have gone through the problem of welded connections, the same thing which we had covered in the previous class for bolted connections. So I will just repeat and go through this once more, and so that no more doubts are there. Just one more thing. Yeah. So what we had here in this problem was a section we had chosen a section like this. Okay, so this dimension is 76 mm, and this is the smaller dimension which is 64 mm. Now we have two sections back to back like this. So if you see the nomenclature, what it was mentioned is that the sections were provided long legs back to back. Yeah. So we tried with section 76 cross 64 cross 9.5 long legs back to back. So what does it mean? It means that this side, it is known as the long leg. Okay, and this side is known as the short leg. It's simple to understand nomenclature because the dimension 76 is more than the dimension 64 mm. You will see some sections are called equal angles. Equal angles are those equal angle sections. Equal angles are those which basically have these two dimensions same. Okay. In this case, we have two unequal dimensions. So the longer side we call as long leg, and the shorter side we refer to as short leg. Now, what do we mean by long legs back to back? Long legs back to back means the 76 sides have been placed like this. Okay, so these are basically the 64 sides. These are 64 sides. And these are basically the 76 sides. Okay, and you see here that this WT265 will be passing in between these two. The so through these two basically the WT and on the other side Yeah, so there was a connection problem. So we are back here. So this is what I was explaining to you about. So this type of connection where the two long sides are connected like this to the section are known as long leg back to back. Long legs back to back. So as you are, I am assuming that all of you are learning steel design for the first time. So few nomenclatures may be new to you completely. That's why I think it is better I explain these new terminologies to you. So now, if it was the other way around, say for example, so if it was the other way around, say for example, this is my 64 mm side and this is the 76 mm side. Okay. Say for example, this is the 76 mm side and this is the 64 mm side. So what do we call in that case? In that case, we refer to it as short legs back to back. Okay, so that's basically the difference between long legs back to back and short legs back to back. And this type of difference only occurs basically when there is the when the two length of the sides are not equal. Okay, so if we have equal angles, then there is no question of long legs back to back or short legs back to back. Okay, because both the lengths, as I mentioned, both the sides are equal in length. Okay, equal angles, no short or long legs. So if we have a section where the 64 and 76 side they are both equal, then there is no question of short or long legs. Okay. So this was just explaining the basic terminology. So I will just refer to the steps once more. So what we did, as I mentioned, that so suppose we have something like this, a plate maybe, and we need to connect a angle section to it like weld. So how we do it? We weld it here and we weld it here. Okay, so this is how we weld it. Okay, and in plan, so this is from the front elevation. Okay, so if you see this basically this weld goes into the this welding basically goes into the plan of into the paper, and this is the front view as I had shown there, and this is how the plan view looks like. Okay, if you cut a section, This is how it will look like. Okay, so in that case, no reduction in area. As opposite to bolted connections. Okay, so that's why the area net and area gross for a welded connections are equal. If you recall from our last tutorial class, there had been different calculations for area gross and area net in case of bolted connections. Why? Because in bolted connections, we need to make holes for the bolts to go through the legs of the angle or channel section, and that's why there are reduction in the cross section area at the location of the bolts, and that's why we calculate the A net and A gross differently. In this case, there is no holes and no reduction in area. That's why A net and A gross are the same. Okay. So what are the steps we follow? We calculate the two capacities of the section using the formulas in terms of the area, unknown area, which we are going to calculate, and then we compare the capacity to the factored force acting on the section, which in this case is 630 kilonewton. Okay, and by that we make an estimation of the area. So you see here we had got two area values, okay, by the two formulas. And why we choose the least of the two? Because if we compare the least of the two areas to the capacity and make an estimate of the capacity using that area, then the other capacity will obviously be more than the factored load. So we will be on the safer side. Okay. You see, if we had equated this 344A to 630 kilonewton square and got an area somewhere maybe 2400, and then if you back calculate, if you put it in this area value, in this capacity value 270 times 2400, it might give you less value than 630 kilonewton. Okay, so that's why we take the least area, compare it with the capacity value, and find out a required area, and then we go to the handbook. We choose, in this case we have chosen 276 by 64 cross 9.5 angles and back to back, and I have shown to you what back to back long legs mean. And then we go on making another calculation. I will explain to you one thing here. Radius of gyration. So what is radius of gyration? It is basically root over I by A, and that can be calculated about any axis. Say for example, this is the horizontal axis and this is the vertical axis. Okay, this is X and this is Y. So this, for this section, Rx can be calculated and Ry can be calculated, both. But we need to consider the minimum of the two, R minimum. But you see one thing, the R minimum is for one angle from the handbook. Okay, but in our final calculation, we, for calculating the slenderness ratio, we choose 13.3 only. Though we are considering two angle sections, we consider only R for one section. We did not multiply it by 2. Okay, or calculate R combined. So can anyone tell me any idea why for two angle sections we did not go for a combined R calculation, or we did not change this R value? We saw here that the R value, R minimum 13.3 was for one angle, and though we are using two angle sections, we chose for the slenderness ratio calculation only one section. Any idea why we have done this? Okay, so let me explain to you why that happened. So you see, what is our configuration? How does it look like? It looks like for two sections, it looks something like this. Okay. And this is our axis. Okay. So this is my y-axis now, the central axis, and this is my x-axis. So let me say that I for each section is I and A. So if you calculate the R gross, okay, R for R gross means the I combined for these two sections. So we will need to calculate an I gross and also A gross. Okay. Now about the horizontal axis, if you calculate the I gross, it will simply be 2 times of the R individual. Okay, so it will be 2I, and the area also will multiply it by 2. So that will give me the same I by A, which was for a single section. So this is the same R for a single section. So that's why when we are calculating about the horizontal axis, x-axis, for a gross section, so I will say Rx, R about x-axis for gross, that is considering the two sections, that will be same as the R about x-axis for a single section. Why? Because about this axis, if you calculate the total moment of inertia, that will be simply 2 times of I and 2 times of A. Okay, but the same thing if you do, so that's why in that case we had used the R for the gross section as the R for the single section only, which was given as 13.3. But if the same thing, if you do R gross about y axis, okay, about y axis, then for the I will not be the same, because in that case for a single section I is given about its centroidal axis. Okay, so it will be something like here. So when we calculate the I about this axis now, there is an area shift. Okay, and we need to use the parallel axis theorem, that is I about one axis, parallel axis theorem, shift from this axis to this axis for calculating the I. Okay, so the I about, say this is the yy and this was the 1 so that will be I y will be equals to I1 plus the distance. Say for example this distance is d, okay, plus the area of the section times d square. This will be the I about y axis for one particular section, and also same for this section, and that has to be multiplied by 2 to get the gross. Okay, so now it will be 2 times the I individual about their own centroidal axis plus a times d square, where d squared, where d is the distance between the now centroidal axis and the actual centroidal axis for individual section, and that to be divided by 2 times the area. So these two cancels out, and this is the I gross about the y axis. So you see in this case it does not become equals to, so this does not become equals to the ry individual or the ry single. Okay, about y axis, that is the vertical axis, because ry single will simply be I1. So these two are not equal. Due to this shift from here to here, due to the shift in axis, shift in distance between the centroidal axis, there is a d squared term by the parallel axis theorem, and that's why these are not equal. So for y axis, if you choose two angles, you need to make this modification and calculate the ry like this formula. But for the horizontal axis rx, it remains the same for the gross for the two sections. And then you need to compare between ry gross this formula with the rx that still remains the same root over I by a as we had checked over there. So this formula, this thing is already given in the handbook, okay, because that remains this, but you need to calculate this, okay, for y axis and then compare whether rx is minimum or r gross y is minimum, okay. So in this problem they must have calculated the rx to be minimum, and that's why in their calculations R minimum they have simply written as 13.3, and also later in the checking they considered 13.3. So this is the logical explanation behind all this R for a double angle where we are using two angle sections. So is this clear to all of you? Because this is not very straightforward. Though it has been put just like in the book. In the book they have just put it like this. There is some thinking and calculation involved behind this. How to choose the R from the handbook, how there is the like how to calculate the R for a double section, and then how to decide whether about x-axis or y-axis. These things are a bit complicated for a double angle section. So is this clear to all of you? The R calculation? Okay. So when the R is calculated, you can simply go around calculating the maximum slenderness ratio, that is the L by R ratio, and check whether it is less than 300 or not. Okay. So this was some background. So finally, what's the steps involved in the design of tension member using welds? We'll just write down the steps to summarize it. Tension member welded. Okay. So first step is that A net is equals to A gross. So as A net is equals to A gross, you simply consider the TR in terms of A. You calculate TR in terms of A by equations 3.1 and 3.2. So after you are done 3.1 and 3.2, now you will get two values in terms of A for TR. Choose the minimum, choose the minimum TR and equate to TF and equate to TF. So that will give, so in this case the minimum was around I think 270A. Yeah, so you get a 270A, you equate to the factor load TF. Okay, in this case it was 630 kilonewtons. So you calculate in terms of Newton, and then you get a required by this division. Okay, so after you get the A required, you go to the handbook and see what section will be appropriate. So in this case we have, so the next step is basically assumption of the section, and it's, you can choose one particular section as well. Like in this case they have chosen double sections, you can simply choose one particular section. So third step is basically choice of section. So after you make the choice of sections, in this case they have chosen 276 cross 64 cross 9.5. Okay, and also how we are going to place it, and also configuration. So in this, and also configuration. By configuration I mean that how we are going to orient it. Okay, so here what they have done, the longer side has been placed back to back. So here they have gone for long legs back to back. Means these two are basically the short legs. This is the short leg. This is the short legs. Okay. So long legs back to back. If you make a assumption of equal angles, then this long leg back to back or short leg back to back, this is ruled out. Okay. So long legs back to back. So after that, basically you make the AN2 and AN3 calculation. You calculate the effective net area just by, in one case you just subtract for one leg, that is the long leg, the factor is 1, and there you subtract from the leg side the welding, the thickness, basically 9.5 the thickness. And on the other side, what you do, on the other side you have already made an assumption before that, that how, what is the length. Okay, so if you see in the picture, this is the long leg and this is the short leg. So here you have one side you have assumed 250 mm and on the other side you have assumed, so on the left hand side, this part, this is the short leg. Okay, so on that side you have assumed the length to be 250 mm, and on this side, that is the long leg which have been connected back to back, there you have made an assumption on the right hand side, this dark welding length have been assumed to be 120 mm. Okay, so for the short leg you make, for calculating the effective area in short leg, you make use this formula. Okay, instead of 1, in this case the factor was 1, and in this case the factor becomes 1 minus 32 by 250. And what is the 32? It is the eccentricity, that is half of the length of the leg, that is 64. Okay, then you multiply by 70, multiplied by the length of the leg 64 and the thickness, you get this 530, and the total effective area will be summation of the two, 632 and 530, that gives me 1162 millimeter square. And finally you plug them back into the original formulas 3.1 and 3.2. Only in that case, for the second case, we do not use the earlier 2480, but we use the twice the effective area ANE calculated, and minimum of the two is governed by 3.1, that is 670, which is still going to be larger than your 630. Okay, so that we had already taken care of because we had chosen the area to be larger, and that value we had assumed from this formula only. Okay, so now final check is to check for the maximum slenderness ratio, and for that you consider the R minimum, and the R minimum was 13.3. and how that R for a single leg is equivalent to the R for the cross section that I have explained to you pictorially. So if you consider the horizontal axis, if that is giving the minimum thing, so you have to consider basically about the vertical axis for the combined section and also about the horizontal axis for the combined section. But luckily for the horizontal axis, the R for one section will be equal to the R for the two sections. Okay, and that will be giving me the same value as given in the handbook. No further calculation required. But if along the vertical axis we need to consider for combined section, that will be a different formula that I have shown you earlier, that the adjustment for the shift in the neutral axis for one section needs to be made using the distance between the central axis for one section and the combined section. Anyway, so that is used, and calculating the maximum slenderness ratio gives me a value of 300, which is equal to the value of the limit 300. So that is okay. So this is how we calculate for tension member using welded connections. Okay. So we have covered now tension member design. Last day we had considered for bolted connections, and today we have considered for welded connections. So on the next class we are going to be starting compression member design. So that's all which I had to discuss according to the professor in today's lecture. I thought I will start with compression members, but he had said that to be lagging behind him a bit so that you get some time to go through the theories before I start solving the problems. So it is better that I do not start with compression members today. I will start with them in the next tutorial class, compression member. So if you have any doubts regarding what we have discussed today, you can ask.
Sorry?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. I have a question regarding example 3.2.
Example 3.2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not the
sure.
welded one.
Yeah, sure. Ask me.
Yeah. When they calculated the area net or area effective, they did the area gross minus the like a whole times two because there was two angles. But usually, isn't it like the width of the leg minus the holes?
Okay, I will refer to what you're saying. No, because the width does not play a role in that case. It will be the thickness. Okay, because you are putting the holes through the thickness, not so you do not, because the hole is not along, the hole does not pierce through the whole width of the section, right? It pierces only through a particular point.
Yeah.
Okay, and it goes to the depth of the, that is the thickness of the section. So you do not need to multiply for the whole width. You multiply the whole diameter to the uh, thickness, because the hole goes to the thickness. So the thickness of that particular one point is reduced, and you multiply with the whole diameter, and then as there was two sections, so that why two holes on both sides, and that is why you multiply the thickness with the number 2 and with the gross diameter of the hole. Okay.
Yeah. But usually, like in other examples, they take the length of that section, let's say, where the bolt is, and they just subtract the bolt diameter plus punched or drilled. Sorry.
Okay, so for that I will just explain to you. Okay, I stopped sharing this. Yeah. So what is happening? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Say for example, I have a section like this. and I am bolting it here. Okay. So this is my bolt. So this is my one dimension. Say it is the larger dimension. I refer to as the length, and I refer to this as the width. Okay. So I'm taking today's example, today's section as example, and this is the thickness. Okay. Say for example 9.5. It was like this. So at this section, what will be the reduced area? This part will be reduced. Okay. So, and what will be the area of this hole? The area will be simply the bolt gross diameter. So the area which will be reduced will be the bolt gross diameter multiplied by the thickness. So this will help you understand pictorially that why it is multiplying by the thickness times the bolt diameter and not by the width. Okay.
No, I
And
understand that part.
okay.
I mean, in previous examples, they take like 64, let's say, minus the area of the bolt.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
in that example, they took the area gross minus this, the bolt, because usually the area net would be what's connected, right?
Yeah. So yeah, that depends on basically how you're. So that problem which you're referring to, so basically every time we are calculating this area net and area gross and all these things, first thing which is important, which I mentioned today as well, the configuration. Okay. So everything depends on the configuration. Okay. Say for example, we are connecting two angles back to back, then something will be different, and we are taking one angle, then something will be different, and if you are taking two angles face to face, so it depends. So you have to look at the picture for that particular problem and then decide how you are going to reduce the area. Okay.
All right.
And it also depends that how we are connected to the plate. If it is connected to this side, then some subtraction will be different, because then the thickness, we have to consider the total thickness. Okay. And if it is connected like this, then it will be the thickness of only this section. Otherwise, along this direction, it will be the thickness of this whole plate. Okay. So it all depends. The configuration is very important in case of steel. So these are basically very basic differences between steel and concrete. The configuration and how we are placing the members, these things play a very big role in how we are using the formulas, in contrast to concrete design.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have discussed the problems of tension member design by welded and bolting connection. I suggest you to go through the problems again at your own leisure time, and also what you do, that you try to solve or go through more example and solve more problems, which will be making you comfortable with how we are using the handbook. Because in exam, what happens is that if you do not have regular practice to using the handbook, because there are lots of sections, at different section you will find different angle section or channel sections or whatever, and you need to know that which parameter you need to pick from where. So from where you will be getting the areas, from where you will be getting the I values, A values, or radius of gyration, and all these things. You need, and in exam there is not a lot of time, so you need to like refer to them very quickly. So you need to be sure where angle sections are located, where channel sections are located, where double sections, back-to-back sections, all these things are there. So that practice you can only have if you go through more example problems, or you can take the same problem which has been given in the book and try with different types of sections. Okay. If one problem is solved in the book by angle sections, you try to solve it by channel section. You try to change the configuration, because as I mentioned, as our friend asked, that different type of, like in the book, one problem can be like, it all depends on the configuration for steel. So the gross area, net area calculation, it will depend on how we are placing or how we are connecting the angles or channel sections. Based on that, the reductions will happen. It is not just there is a formula and just you blindly plug in the values and get something. Okay, it all depends on how you are managing and planning the execution and configuration of the section. And in the previous class, as I mentioned also, the design problem is specific to everyone. That given a particular problem, it is up to you. That I can choose like I can choose one section and one particular configuration and give a perfect solution for design. And some of you can choose some other configuration, some other particular section you can choose that can also give you a correct result, perfectly correct result. So it is specific to how you are going to do it, but just that the steps you are going to follow, the concept you are going to follow, try to visualize it, because till design it's very much essential to visualize that how you are placing the sections and how you are. That's why I also during the tutorials will try to other than what is shown in the book, I will also try to use as much diagrams as possible. And you have to think of it as well, like directly if Rx is given, Ry is given, if you see the minimum of the two values, you cannot just pick it up, because those can be given for a single angle section. Okay, so if you are choosing a double angle section, you can consider the area to be twice, but think about how you are going to place it, so that you do not just directly adapt the two for the moment of inertia as well and take the same R. So that thing it was there in today's problem. So I had explained it to you how it will be different if it was about the vertical axis. But in exam, you might choose some other configuration. You might choose some other way to place the sections. So all the calculations will depend on how you use the configuration and how you place the angles or the welding or the bolting. So you have to think before you do the calculation. So make yourself more acquainted with the sections, the handbook, so that you do not face much difficulty during the exam, because in the exam short time you do not have very long time to just go through the handbook without much result. Okay, you need to know specifically at which section of the handbook which things are present, and so that you can refer to them in a very quick period of time. Okay, so that's it for today's class. In the next week we are going to discuss about design of compression members and solve problems regarding that area. And if you have any questions, you can ask me, or we can just call it over for today.